Well, hello folks. My name is Tim. If you've been following my YouTube channel, I've done quite a few audio related restorations, attempts, and completions. This time we're going to tackle one of my favorite cassette decks ever. It's the first cassette deck I ever bought brand new. It was a Pioneer CT-F1000. I bought it when it came out around about 1978. Early 79. Can't exactly remember the date I bought it. Owned it for about, I don't know, 15, 20 years, and ended up selling it because tape decks were no longer a thing, but I still kept my Pioneer Silver Series, and I immediately regretted selling it, and because it's such a great tape deck, and of course I'm back into tapes again, and I've done a bunch of Nakamichi CR3A decks and LX3s decks, as well as a few other off-brand tape decks. And so this is my second foray, I guess, into, or the third foray into Pioneer. The other two were early on, and I didn't do so well with those, but I did well with the Nakamichi series decks, doing recaps and getting the belts changed and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's what the problem is here. So where I bought the deck was I was working on a military base, or living on a military base. I was a young dependent brat back then in the late 70s, and going to high school, and I used to do summer jobs, and I was able to pay for a whole Pioneer Silver Series system at the time. It was all top of the line. And a buddy of mine who worked with me on these same summer jobs bought this particular tape deck, and he's since passed. And it's a very, very good friend of mine. Lawrence was his name. And he bequeathed this to me, basically through his very kind friends. And I've sort of had this on my plate. It was given to me after he passed quite a few months ago now, but and I just haven't had the time through the summer to tackle it. So now here we are into September of 2025, and it's been sitting on my shelf just begging to be looked after. It powers up, so I do get power display, lights and everything are shining. But no transport mechanism. I suspect all of the belts are shot. My friend, basically, like me, I think when the CD thing came around, it basically just sat there, and he owned it for its entire life. Unlike me, he didn't sell it, and it's now in need of a restoration. So I'm going to tackle the transport mechanisms first and get that working. There's no point in going and recapping it if I can't get the transport mechanism working properly. I don't suspect it'll have any major functions. He treated everything very well. He moved back from Germany back to Edmonton. I live out in Victoria, BC, and I had it shipped out here. But I think it's been well treated. There is a little bit of scuffing. I think the paint sort of scuffed off there. I may look into getting a replacement plastic piece that goes around there, but it's only cosmetic. Everything else, it's absolutely in pristine shape. Heads are in really good shape. There's no scarring or anything. I don't think he used it very much at all. So I'm hoping the idler drive is intact, because that can be a bugbear with these, I know. So what I did was I ordered a belt kit from WJoe Radio, or it's wjoe.com, so www.wjoe.com, and they sent me a belt kit, and I got all of the components that I could, including a I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, all the parts that I could get from them I did. And now they include a complete belt change instruction manual. Along with, I have the service manual, so I'll be sort of cross-referencing the two, and going very slowly with this one. So the idea here is to hopefully film this, because I noticed on YouTube there's not a lot. There's a few people that showed, what it you know, a working deck after it's been repaired, but nobody really shows the procedure for replacing the belts and getting these things back online. So I'm going to attempt that. I'm not going to say I'm going to succeed, but I'm going to certainly attempt it. And if I need help, I will reach out to the AK community and everybody else that is out there on the Facebook forums and whatnot, and see if I can get this thing back up and restored, because it's got great sentimental value to me. So with that being said, I'm going to sort of do a mixture of hyperlapse videography, so this thing doesn't end up being 10,000 hours long. And then when I come to parts that need an explanation, or where I run into troubles, or where I think that it might be useful for me to explain something, I'll try to do that. In past, I'm not a videographer by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm going to try to get the camera in as close as possible, try to get the lighting good. But like I say, I'm not a professional at this, so if I don't meet your expectations, oh well, I tried. So what I'll do is I'll also do at the end of this video, I'll show each of the sheets, the instructions, so you could actually freeze frame it and do a screen capture and see the instructions. There's 7 pages to this instruction sequence, and hopefully share it to other people out there that want to try and tackle this on their own. So, because I know there's not a lot of technicians out there that want to work on this old stuff, and that's why I've actually reverted to doing all of this myself. I basically only do my own gear, so if I muck it up, then it's my own fault. But like I say, I've been lucky and skillful in many other restorations that I've done with turntables, receivers, amplifiers, all that kind of stuff. Tape decks, I think, are on the top of the pyramid as far as difficulty, because they're very electromechanical, and it's the mechanical bits that will get you with all the belts and the pulleys and motors and all that kind of stuff. So, without further ado, we're going to start with sheet 1 and go through. We're going to have to take the faceplate off, take all the buttons off, it looks like, and we'll go through all of that one by one in accordance with this instruction set. Here are the belt kits. There's even this pulley wheel thing here with a really, really small hex nut or hex key. And there's the belt kit. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 belts. Technically 2 of them are tires, but we won't fault them for that. And then of course this little pulley wheel. So, and then of course I did also order the 2 leaf switches. I've actually got 6 of them, or 7 of them, I think. I wanted to make sure I had good backups, because I guess the sensing switches have a propensity to go bad, and I went on, I think it was Audio Karma, and I actually found the drop-in replacements. So I bought a bunch of them for other tape decks that I've got in the back closet there, and we'll switch those out instead of trying to open them up and get them deoxided, because they're sealed switches, so it's better just to replace them with new. And I guess these are exact replacements. So let's tackle this and see where we go from there. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're gonna start in on first sheet here. There is an Audio Karma, I believe, sort of set up on doing a recapping of this machine, and in the prelude to the actual getting into the nitty-gritty of doing the recapping of the tape deck, there's a whole bunch of instructions that you should obey when you're doing work on these kind of things. And I found it, I'll put a link in it when I post this video on YouTube, where you can go in and actually shows you the do's and don'ts when working on these things. I'm not as anal as some of the things that are in there, but all of it is really, really good constructive criticism on doing this. The only reason I do it is because it's my own stuff. and I've been doing it for a lot of years, and but I'm self-taught. I do have a substantial background in electrical stuff anyway, but that being said, if at all possible, try to get a pro to do it, because this stuff will make you pull your hair out. Anyway, what I do is when I disassemble things, I always have like a container where I can label and put screws in. You'll see me doing that in the time-lapse video, just so that I know where everything, all the buttons that come off. I have some buckets around for some of the larger parts that I can put in, so that I don't lose them, because oftentimes these things take several weeks to do, and you get waylaid doing other things, and then you get back to where and you forget where you're at. That's another reason why I'm filming this, is I can always go back and retrace my steps if I let it sit on the bench too long. So yeah, so we're gonna follow this step by step. So the first thing is to remove the back cover, to remove the front plates, and then there's the 3 knobs here, all of the switches. Some of these switches don't have to come out, but certainly the ones that won't go past the faceplate. And then we'll of course take the faceplate off, put that in a nice safe location, because obviously these old billet aluminum faceplates can really easily get scratched and damaged, and you don't want to do that. So you got to treat it with kid gloves, and make sure you remember where all the parts in the sequence of events. That's why I'm really grateful they've provided instruction sets, because you're just gonna, when you put it back together again, you're gonna have to just do this in reverse. And that way you don't forget any steps, you don't forget anything, and what I'll do in the midst of when I've got the delicate stuff out, I'll be taking actual photos. I've got another camera here, so I've got one phone filming this, and then I've got another one where I'll be taking shots and looking at the lay of the land and arrangements, so that I know how all the various cams and gears mesh together, and how they should be when I took them apart, and how they should look the same way when I reassemble it. So, and we'll see how it goes from here. So we'll carry on with time lapse for now. All right, what I've done is I've just done step 1 here, which is on page 1 of 7. Remove black cabinet cover, remove 4 screws on each side, and slide the cover straight back. So what I've done is I've put all the 4 screws in here, and I've got a whole bunch of different wells in this little plastic case that I keep around for doing such jobs. And I've labeled this step 1, so that when I go back, when I'm on page, say, 4, and it says step 10, there are 2 more screws. So I'll label each set of screws, so I know I'm putting the right screws back in together. So you need to have a system when there's so many different size screws and types of screws and all that sort of stuff, in order to keep track of where you're at. And it's really handy having this instruction. Most oftentimes you don't. So then what I do is I'll have a sheet of paper, and I'll lay things out, and I'll label them and then tape them down, or whatever system works for you. This works for me, so we'll see how that goes. Little footnote that's hard to read on the instruction set on page 2 of 7, which is this page right here. You'll see down in this corner there's a little note, nylon washers. They're on the end of the flywheel that you see here and here. So I pulled those off just with my fingers, and I put them in under step 6, even though it didn't say that in the instruction. Down in this little note, it reminds you that when you reassemble everything, these washers or these flywheels will come out. And normally if you pull those out, those washers go flying, and they're really hard to see. So I put those in step 6 just as a reminder, when I get to that bin and I see those, I have to reinstall those. So point a note there. All right, so in page 3, step number 7, it basically wants you to orient your machine like this. I didn't do the hyperlapse on the last one, but anyway, so I've just put it up on its side. You want the transport mechanism to be on the bottom, and of course the other end facing up. So that's see figure C. Already I'm knocking little parts and pieces around. Let's get those out of the way here. Those are those switches. And the next step is step 8, which is disconnect the 17 position connector shown in figure C. 17, just pull it straight off. So I'm thinking it's this, there it is, 17 pin, yeah, it's this connector pin right here. And you just have to know that the white one is on top, or lower wire is green and the top wire is gray. Actually, it looks like the white is top, but it's gray. So you just pull that out, and that's going to disassemble or disconnect the transport mechanism from the control board. This is the diagram that I'm talking about. So it's this connector that you're going to disconnect. And you just pull that out by hand. There you can see it where the green is the one end and the gray is the other, and there's only one place it can go on this control board, which sits underneath the transport mechanism. Might be a good time to pop a couple of these capacitors off and just measure them and see how they're doing. So if I get the transport out, I may take this board out and just have a look at some of these capacitors, but we'll see if I've got time. So very interesting. The next step, it says disconnect 5 position plug shown in figure C. And then you look at number 9 there. It says 5 position connector, first wire is pink, last wire is green, which you can see again on that. And where it shows the 17 pin connector, and it just shows this as immediately beside it, but it's not. It's actually, there's the 5 pin on this board. It's actually on a separate board up here, and you've got the green and the pink, and it's a 5 pin, and it's on a separate board. So the diagram on this is incorrect. You can see that actually goes to the transport mechanism here, but for whatever reason, their diagram is not right. Okay, step 10. I don't want to lean this forward and bend any of the buttons or anything like that, but you'll see that there's sort of a gold colored cradle that the transport mechanism is sandwiched in, and there's a bunch of wires on the bottom. And if you look at this diagram, it looks like this would be up top here where this thing is, but you have to look deep down into the bottom where it's fastened to the bottom of the cassette deck in order to remove those screws that hold that tray which holds the mechanism in place. So just you'll look at it and you'll see where it is on the bottom, and it goes right to the bottom of the chassis. And then there's some other screws that hold a cradle in for the circuit PCB that's underneath the transport. I think it's the transport PCB that is also bolted to the case. So just make sure you don't undo that one. You're just doing the transport mechanism in step 10. So point to note. All right, we're now at step 12, which is replace belt number 2. Actually, I haven't completed step 11, which is to fully remove the transport mechanism, which I've just done this moment. And of course, I don't want to stress any of these wires. I've had that happen before, and it's not pleasant. So we're going to put it down in a way that's not going to stress any of these wires, because some of these connectors can get pretty brittle over time and break, and then you have to really know where those, in fact, I'm going to take a photo here pretty quick of that wiring harness arrangement. I'm going to do that right.
Caesar and Napoleon.
I'm going to do that now. I can get past this thing. There we go. Nope. There we go. And that way I can see all of the wire coatings for if any of these break off, then we can determine where I have to resolder them back on. So let's get a better view of that. There we go. All right, so now we've got belt number 2, which is in this little baggie here, and this is your counter belt. And you can see the counter right here. If I can move this without stressing anything here. Let's do that. There's the counter belt right there. I'm going to take that off with my little dental pick. It's actually pretty springy, pretty rubbery. It doesn't really need to be changed, but might as well. Won't have to change it in another 5 or 6 years' time. All right. Normally I don't handle these things with my bare hands because of rubber and grease, but this one's fine. It's just a belt, and this one actually is easily changed outside with the mechanism still installed. So like I say, I'm going to keep this I put the old belts in the old bags and then mark this as changed. But it's good for sizing, so you can get generic belts, and if I needed, if I had one snapped or something like that, I could use that to get close to the proper size. So that's my changed belts over there. So there you go. So we've now completed page 3. So I can tick that off and replace belt 2 shown in figure D. We've done that. And now we're on to page 4. So now it's orienting the cassette mechanism, and we'll do that off camera or hyperlapse. So we're going to orient the mechanism. This is the instruction set for it. If you can read that, you could pause it and then print it out. But like I say, I'll do this at the very end as well. So, and then we're going to remove some more screws here. So let's do that. Very interesting. So it does not look like anybody has actually taken this apart before, because all of these wire harnesses and everything were all put in place properly. They look like they haven't been tampered with or whatever. However, there's 2 screws missing. So there's supposed to be 6 screws holding this plate on, and 2 of them are actually missing. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and then these two are missing in the they're empty. So I've got another Pioneer deck in the back. I'm hoping that I have the same size screws so I can replace the missing screws, which is not good. So it doesn't look like it had been taken apart, but maybe it has been. Maybe the guy was just that good. Who knows? But I mean, obviously, there's some screws missing. And I didn't find any loose screws in the chassis that I can tell anywhere. Okay, we're gonna take one of these screws out, and then I've got a CTF-650 in the back there, and I've got a 850, I think, too. CTF-850 that's needing some work. So I'm going to go and see if I can find a screw from one of those, because they're sort of the same era, so I'd be having, I should be able to find a screw to replace that. Replace the two missing ones. So anyway, we're gonna take these 6 screws out, and then I'll just take one and use it to size another one. So this is step 14. All right, more to follow. Okay, I pulled out the, is this thing recording? Yeah, it's recording. I pulled out the belt 3, belt 1 as per step 15. Belt 3 was really dried out, and let's just get an idea of size difference, see how much it's stretched over the years. I think this is an original belt. I've washed my hands really clean, but yeah, it's actually not that much more stretched. It is stretched. Quite a bit stretched, actually. So yeah, and you can tell it's all dried out. So we're going to put the old belt 3 in there, and we're not ready to install it yet. We have to do that in a later step. So I'm going to just put the dried belt in step 3 here, and belt 1 is here. Belt 1 isn't bad. Let's see what belt 1 looks like. Belt 2, 3, 5, oh, here's belt 1. See how stretched it is. Oh yeah, it's stretched quite a bit. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to put that one here and put belt 1 replaced belt in here. Again, I just keep them for sizing purposes, realizing that they would have stretched a bit. And we'll set these aside for when it's time to change those. So, more to follow. All right, we've come to a major milestone here, and a major decision point. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the best decision I can here. So I know that the fellow that, I know the person that used to own this tape deck, and I've known him all my life almost. And I know he wasn't a great cassette guy, so I don't think this machine has actually seen very many hours of cassette play. So there's step 19 onward to about 26, I believe it is regarding the idler assemblies. So there's 2 idler assemblies on this machine. And I'm looking at the tires. So I've got the 2 tires in the kit to replace those. But what it means is disassembling these C-clips, or E-clips, I guess they call them. And you have to take the armature off. You have to unhook a spring. And these things are the things that can bite you in the butt. And I know that these idler assemblies are unobtainium, because they're made out of nylon, and oftentimes when you start mucking with them, they break. And these ones don't have any cracks that I can see. Everything looks like it's fully intact. So rather than change the idler tires, which I don't think needs it, because I don't think there's been all that many hours on this machine, I've decided I'm going to go with rubber renew. So I'm looking at the 2 tires, and they're not, they're probably a little slick with age and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm hoping that rubber renew will be a better tactic than trying to take those linkages apart, forcing that rubber tire, which is really tightly fit on that nylon wheel. And I'm just asking for a failure point at this point if I tried to do that. I got big hands. I'm not very delicate when I do surgery. So knowing my limitations, I've decided that I'm going to put rubber renew on these. So give a good dosing of rubber renew on these assemblies. The grease looks still pretty good. They're still pretty flexible. They look like they're going to work pretty good. So I am going to, instead of trying to muck with these things, I'm going to use rubber renew and hopefully have this thing working for another 20-30 years, because honestly I don't think many hours were put on this machine, so I don't think those tires are worn out by any stretch. I think they are probably hard with age, and that's what I'm hoping this rubber renew is going to cure. It won't cure it, it'll improve it. So there we go, that's what we're going to do. And yeah, I think it's the better choice. We're getting dark in here right now, so I'm going to very carefully give it a good coating of rubber renew on these tires. Really, I don't think these things are going to fail at this juncture. You need to have a better tool. I need some tweezers, because what we don't want to have is the cotton from these swabs to come off. That's a cheap, crappy swab, so I'm going to get a better one. Onto the assembly and muck up the gearing or anything. So yeah, that's the negative there. Okay, more to follow. So it's been a while since I've done an update. So what I've done is I've done all of the everything that I said I would. Changed all the belts. I did not change the what do they call it, the relay kit, tire or belt kit or spindle kit. Simply because it looks smaller than the one that's on there, and the one that's on there doesn't look like it's in bad shape, so I'm going to keep that as a spare. Again, why change things if you don't need to, and I don't think this has high hours. So I've reassembled everything, and now what I'm doing is doing these leaf switches on the top, which are famous for going bad. The middle one has a couple of capacitors here that we're going to have to transfer over, and then we've got these three. There are sensors for determining whether the tape deck is present. I think one is to tell whether it's chrome or not, and I'm not sure what this one is. Maybe it's just to tell. I'll have to look it up in the service manual. Anyway, I'm changing them all, and the reason is they're sealed units, so it's hard to get deoxit, and they do oxidize. They do go bad over decades, which has been several decades, 40 years almost, I guess. So we're going to swap those out, and hopefully the new ones will perform better. So a lot of times the deck won't function if those leaf switches aren't working properly. So why not switch them all out while we can? And yeah, so we're going to do that, and then I got to reinstall everything and put it all back together and see if we got lucky and this thing is going to operate. So more to follow. Okay, now we've come to the moment of truth. Yeah, I've completed everything. I've switched out these 3 switches, including the capacitors on the leaf switches up top here. I've changed all the belts, reconnected the bus bar kind of connectors to the control unit on here and over on the other side. There's 2 of them. And screwed everything. The mount is all in place. I didn't have any troubles getting it back in. Looks like the tape does fit. So let's see if it works. Probably not, but we'll hopefully give it a whirl. So power switch it off. I'm just going by what the I didn't want to put the faceplate on just in case I have to muck with something else. Get it working again. And I think I've got all the wires connected. The belts are all in place. And now the moment of truth. I'm going to turn the test power on. I'm going to turn this on. And we're going to put a tape in. Playing. I'm getting sound. Put it in. Let's do rewind. We're playing. So the only thing that's amuck is the rewind and fast forward. I am kind of gobsmacked. I didn't have it totally in. It is playing. Oh, that's so good. I got a feeling it might be the clutch assemblies that are causing it not to rewind and fast forward. So we might have to play with that. Before I couldn't get any transport movement at all, so at least the fact that it's playing now, probably those switches, but I don't know. Yeah, what's that light indicate? Dolby noise reduction is on. Is there a line out? Output? Yeah, it's up there. So we might have to take it apart again and look at the rewind and clutch assembly. It's quite possible I didn't set something correctly there. trying to rewind. You can see it. Well, I've got a playing machine anyway, not a rewinding and fast forwarding machine. Oh, there we go. Maybe it just needs to work in. No? Try a different tape. So far, so good. Well, minor good thing is I've got it playing. So now we got to start mucking with the clutch and seeing what's going on there. See, now it's starting to fast forward anyway. Not very quickly, but it is doing it. And it stopped. But playing is solid. I just want to get some headphones and have a listen to it. Actually, let's see if we can play it on my player here. Be back. All right, so I plugged in a 2 RCA to mini jack. It goes into this Bluetooth, and player does line in, and I also do turntables on this. So I got a phono preamp that goes into it. It's a stereo speaker in one box kind of thing. It's Sony. Anyway, so I've plugged it in, and let's give it a roll. So and there it is, playing nicely, and the pitch control is working good. We'll of course have to throw a test tone on it once I get to that point and make sure it's running at the correct speed. And I think there's a pod over here that you can change the speed if need be on the motors, but it doesn't sound like it needs it right now. The only thing is, I did get it to rewind and fast. There, it's fast forwarding, but very, very slowly. So it could be those 2 clutch assemblies and the tires. I think it's the clutch assemblies, and if there's a problem with that, then I don't know what we're going to do. I just may have a playing machine. Sounds pretty good for the Dolby. Not Dolby. That's a Dolby C, so it doesn't sound proper anyway. Standard bias. Sounds good on an XL260. So let's see if we can. No, it's just not wanting it. You can see it trying to fast forward. Okay. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to call this part 1 because it's getting long. And we're going to keep this on the bench. I'm probably going to have to take the transport out. And we're going to have have a hard look at that those two clutch assemblies, the fast forward. This, I don't know quite what to call it. We got this other assembly here that it's part of the fast forward mechanism and rewind. So we're going to change that out and see if that's going to make a difference. And we got more things to do. So we're going to call this part 1. I got the deck functioning. Before, when it powered up, it wouldn't even play. So at least I've got that far. Very happy with that. And all the lights are working. Everything's working good except for that fast forward rewind, which I know is a common issue with these things. So more to follow on how we're going to tackle that. So thanks for watching.